So now we come to the number 3 exercise. So in the number 3 exercise we need to be in the low stance that we get to at the end of the number 2 exercise, so equivalent to the count of 4. This means the knees are quite bent. They're pretty much in line with the base of the toes, and you need to be seated in your hip joints. So unlike the number 1 and number 2 exercise, there's no up and down movement, and like the number 1 exercise there is a rotation. So to begin with, we need to just make sure that we're turning from the waist and keeping our body's central axis. Now in order to do this, the best thing to do is to make sure that your knees don't move. They may well bob around very slightly, but it's important that we don't draw back the knee when we turn the hip. If you draw back the knee when you turn the hip, you'll feel your weight shifting towards the other leg, and this will mean a change in your body's central axis. We try to keep the central axis between the feet and simply rotate from the waist, keeping the knees in position. So to begin with, just turning in this way, making sure that you keep your centre and turn from the waist. So the waist motivates the movement. The turning comes from the hips and waist, but the shoulders follow the hips and waist so that the whole torso turns as one piece. So to begin with, the focus is here in the hips and waist with the rotation, keeping the knees in position, making sure there's no side to side movement, making sure we don't withdraw the knees, and making sure we don't move up and down. So keeping the same height, keeping the knees in position, and rotating from the waist. Now if you bring your palms to the fronts of your thighs, when you turn you'll notice a rotation. So when I turn with my left hip here, you'll notice that my left palm is rotated towards the side. So it begins facing ahead and then it turns towards the side. So we can feel that there's a rotation going on in each thigh muscle when we turn. This is because the muscles between the inside of the thigh and the outside of the hip joint are lengthening as we sit into the hip. So just do the movement with the hands on the thighs so you can feel this rotation. Okay, so now like the other exercises, the movement needs to start with the sinking of the feet. So the movement doesn't begin with the hips, it begins with that sinking process. And this rotation that we notice in the thighs also begins with that sinking. So it means that we spiral down in each movement. So now when we do the same movement, rotating the waist, keeping the centre, not moving up and down, not moving side to side, we begin from the sinking process. So when I want to turn into my right leg, I sink with my right foot, and when I want to turn with my left leg, I sink with my left foot. So right foot down as my right hip goes back, left foot down as my left hip goes back. So the knee position continues to be the same. We're simply relaxing from the foot. As you relax from the foot, you'll find you're able to relax a little bit more around the knee and sit deeper into the hip socket. What you might find is that when you're sinking, you feel increase of pressure through that foot. So as I'm sinking on my left side, I feel increase of pressure through my left foot. When I'm sinking on my right side, I feel increase of pressure through the right foot. This isn't the same as weight distribution because I'm not shifting from side to side. The sinking process simply creates an increase of grounding through that foot. So just try the base movement with the sinking process. You can put the hands on the thighs if you like to feel the rotation, or if it makes more sense, put the hands on the hips to feel that that's where you're turning. When you do this correctly, you'll find that it works your quads, so your thigh muscles, quite strongly, and it might be that you can only maintain it for a short period of time. Generally speaking, that's a good sign because it means that you're activating the quads. And it also suggests that you're keeping your knees in position so that the muscles are lengthening and stretching as well as rotating. So, as with all your other movements, 90% of the work is done from the base. So it's important that you focus on this process with the base first before bringing in the arms. If you find when you bring in the arms you get a little bit confused and the base starts to lose its coordination, just come back to your base. So make sure you get the base first and that the arms are an expression of your base. Base moves the body, body moves the arms. Moving the arms is not Tai Chi. So now that we've got the base movement, we can bring in the arms, and if you prefer you can just continue to focus on the base on its own. So in the number 3 exercise, of course, we have the cross alignment force, and this means that when I'm spiraling and sinking into the left leg, there's a force that's coming up expressed through the right arm, and when I'm spiraling and sinking through the right leg, there's an the force is expressed through the left arm. So there's cross alignment, left leg and right arm together, right leg and left arm together. You'll notice that the arms are rising straight ahead, so they're not rising in line with the centre of the body, because this would mean as you square, you tighten up in the shoulder joint. So instead the hands are coming up straight ahead, and your gaze is also straight ahead. When the hand comes down, you have a sitting of the wrist, so the palm is down towards the ground, and the arm that's coming up, try to keep the elbow dropped. Try not to lift the elbow, which will lift the shoulder. As with the other exercises, try to coordinate your movement, so as soon as you move from the base, you move from the arms, and when you finish from your base, you finish with the arms. So base, body, arms, base, body, arms. And then when you've had enough, just allow the arms to come down by your sides, and then we'll be in the position to move into the number 4 exercise.